Hey Duck fans, Kurt here from FishDuck.com. Welcome to yet another FishDuck One-On-One video podcast. You know, as Duck fans, we're very spoiled. We have a tremendous amount of talented writers covering the Ducks beat, and today we're talking with the newest member of that sports beat from the prestigious Oregonian newspaper, Jeffrey Martin. Now, Jeffrey became a member of the Oregonian back in February, joining beat writers Kengo and Aaron Fentress, covering all the news in duck sports. His work can be found in the Oregonian newspaper. Please subscribe. Or if you're an out-of-stater like me, you can catch all of his work on OregonLive.com. Thanks for joining us, Jeff, on the FishDuck One-on-One.
Kurt, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, I think we should get the backstory first, get a sense of how exactly someone from Vermont and the New England area ended up all the way cross-country with the Oregonian. What places did you previously work at? Where'd you go to school?
Okay. Well, it's you want to get settled in here because it's kind of a long, it's a long story. No, I think I've always thought, I'm from Vermont, like you said, but I always doing what I do, you can't really do what we do in Vermont. My wife also works at the Oregonian, and so it's difficult that the biggest paper there is the Burlington Free Press, it's a good paper. Had a stint in Boston. I went to Boston University, by the way, so we got back to Boston.
Go Terriers.
Thank you. Greatest hockey program in the country. Well, not lately, but so we went to Boston for a little bit. I worked at a high school sports website. Wasn't really sure if I was in the whole journalism thing or not. Then that was when the whole internet with the stock options and they're giving money away like it was, I don't know, water. And so the bottom fell out of that. And so then I was like, well, maybe I am pretty serious about journalism. It's the only thing I was trained to do. So, no, in reality, I went to York, Pennsylvania, home of dumbbells, barbells, and peppermint patties. It's all true. They're all made there at one point. I covered the Ravens there, Baltimore Ravens, about an hour north of Baltimore, York is. And it was a great experience. One of the best bosses I ever had. Really basically just taught me how to write. Greg Bowers, now at the University of Missouri. Great guy. So if you're watching, Greg, I gave you a shout. From there, I went to Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. Wichita Eagle, I was the Kansas State beat writer.
Awesome.
And I heard Bill Snyder. So when people ask me, hey, how's Chip to deal with? I'm like, if you've ever dealt with Bill Snyder, anybody else is a walk in the park. So did that for a couple of years, and I went to Houston. That's where I just came from, and I went there. Actually, it was hired to cover Rice athletics. People were just like, wow, almost sounds like a demotion. Rice fans hate me, as I did then. I was replacing a guy who was virtually like a legend on the beat. It's a long story. But I was hired essentially as a stopgap, and they knew I was going to be covering the Texans before long, and that's what ended up happening. And so I left there after having about a year and a half on that beat. Jeff Mail, I covered him. Good guy.
Houston Texans.
So yeah, I had like a year and a half with the Texans, and then I came out here, and honestly, I came out when I was covering K-State. I came out for a basketball game. I sat down with Chris Harper, and I'm sure people remember that story where Chris Harper was saying he's whatever. That was my story. So yeah. Anyway, so I came out, and I remember just thinking, I loved it. I was like, wow, this is just like Vermont. And I remember telling my wife, I was like, I think we would love it there if we could ever get out there. And she loved the Oregonians. That was a great paper. And all this. And I was like, well, we'll see. And as fate would have it, here we are.
Frank Martin,
Yeah.
scariest man on the planet.
Yeah.
That K-State game was televised, and so we were all watching it. And the scariest thing we've ever seen in our lives was Frank Martin smiling in a photo during the pregame warm-ups while they're introducing. Seeing Frank Martin, it's like the psycho killer, like trying to be, like smiling makes it even creepier.
Frank is a teddy bear. I tell people that, and they're like,
He's
shut
the
up.
scariest freaking guy around.
He is, but like, you know what? Like his kids, those guys love him, man. They just adore him. So I know he looks like this monster, and he tries to bully some media people, but Frank's a great guy. He really is.
He looks like him and Vontae's perfect in like a death match.
I take Frank. I'll be
Still can't
honest.
much. I take Frank. So you came to the Oregonian in February, which means you just missed out on football season, just barely.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you've had a chance to kind of soak up the UO culture, both the basketball game and, of course, all the spring sports, baseball, softball, track, acrobatics and tumbling, lacrosse. Even though it's called Tracktown USA, though, make no mistake, we are football crazy out in Oregon. So how much are you looking forward to getting your first real Autzen Stadium experience when September comes around?
Someone asked me, I said, I went to the spring game. They're like, yeah, how was that? I'm like, well, it's a spring game.
Yeah.
It's only 3,000, but it's still a spring game, But I was pretty impressed. Everyone's told me it's something I have to see. And, I come from the Big 12. I've seen, A&M, that's ridiculous atmosphere. Texas, it's not that great. But no, it's not. It's not. It really isn't. But, Oklahoma obviously has a great atmosphere. So, I'm used to, big time college football, but, everyone tells me Out's something I have to see. So I'm psyched. I'm definitely looking forward to that. But you know what? I'm okay. Like I just had a little bit of the track experience yesterday. I did the Prefontaine Classic, and I caught the bug, man. I'm loving it. So I'm hoping I can get some trials action, and I'm hoping Ken will let me, because that's his baby. But no, I love it, and so I can't express enough just how happy I am to be here, and I think the people here are great, and I'm not politicking, I'm not doing anything. I don't know. We're blessed, and I'm loving it so far.
Well, you came at a pretty amazing time. It's been quite a year in Oregon athletics. In fact, there's never been a year like this in the history of Oregon. They've had 20 national championships throughout the entire school's history, and tacked on 2 more this year. And who knows, with baseball and track and field still active, might even be a 3rd coming up. So what's it been like as a beat writer being able to step in during what has been the most successful athletic year in the history of a school, one that already has a really proud athletic history? Probably makes it real easy to write stories.
Well, yeah, but the weird thing is that, it's cool. They've let me kind of ease right into everything because, like you said, when I got here, I wasn't really immersed. And so I haven't really done much with all the other sports. It's been funny, though. It's like every time, you look up, it seems like they are winning in a different sport. And so that's awesome. And so, with that said, I think moving forward, I think I am going to stick with football and basketball. I think those are going to be the 2 biggest things for me. But obviously the rest of the sports, as you mentioned. And so, that's plenty of terrain to cover. And so I think, once I get more settled in and all that stuff, and it's been a few months, but I think that I'll have more, I think you can look forward to having more of those stories and everything in Oregonian and Oregon Live.
The paper's based in Portland, Oregon, and the school is in Eugene. So in the months you've been there, rough estimate of how many times you've had to do the drive now between Portland and Eugene?
Well, not as many as can go. I remember some tweet where he was saying, I could do the thing in my sleep, and I bet he could. But I tell people that all the time, at K-State, I lived in Wichita, but Manhattan was 2.5 to 3 hours away. And I did that drive, 6 hours, round trip. I did that thing probably 2-3 times a week. So I'm used to the drive, and everyone here is kind of rolling their eyes or like, oh, well, we'll ask you again in December, and so you get sick of it. I don't know. I just think it's part of the job, and, I get a lot of thinking done. So I have nothing else to do.
Very nice. Well, give it 30 years and maybe you'll be able to match Ken for a number of trips back and forth. I think he's got every pebble and bush memorized along the roadside at this point.
Ken's a trip, that's for sure.
So what's it been like being a beat writer in the 21st century, where now every schmuck with a computer like me thinks that they can be a legitimate journalist now, where you're covering athletics for a newspaper in an era where day-old news often doesn't cut it anymore. News breaks, and because of Twitter and social media, an hour later it's old. So how much has the life of a writer changed with all the increased access that people now have due to technology?
It's pretty amazing because I come off sounding as like one of these old fogies, banged away on typewriter. Because just let me think, 2000, I think I left the league in 2005, and that was my last time I was really, really immersed in a beat. And back then I was just dabbling with Twitter. My handle is no plug here, I promise, but at Jmart. But think about that. Think about how I'm sure thousands of people have tried to do that, since Twitter's inception.
Right.
And that's cause I have people who are like, wow, when did you get on there? I'm like, yeah, my wife was actually, I mean, she's pretty pioneering, like, as far as news went. She had, at the Eagle, she had one of her reporters, Ron Sylvester, was like one of the first people to like kind of live tweet a trial. And that was a huge deal. So they were going around and talking to people about, you know, how Twitter you could do. It was really cool. So anyway, I was just kind of sticking my toe in the water then, you know, 2004, 2005. And then now, like, man, if you don't tweet, I mean, you just don't exist.
Well, and it seems like sometimes it can actually backfire and cause an oversaturation, because when the slightest little rumor starts, before you go through the whole confirmation of information process, things are already talking left and right. We saw in the offseason this year, there was the rumor about Chip Kelly possibly leaving for Tampa Bay. It turned into a very sleepless night for Duck fans, where there really wasn't any confirmation that reporters could, you know, could confirm out there. It was just rumor back and forth. But, oh, did Twitter explode? Oh, did Twitter explode?
Those stories are designed for Twitter. You know, and that's the problem. Is like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, social media is this or that. I'm not. I think it's important. I do. I think it's great. I think it's great for people to connect. I think anytime you can do that in society and have a, you know, I'm all for it. But I just think in terms of doing our job, I think it makes it difficult. Now, I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not doing anything. You asked, you know, you said how any schmo, you know, with a computer. No, that's not what I meant. But I don't look at it that way. I still think like I'm all for that. I feel like, you know, the conversation is going to happen regardless. And so I guess my point is, how do I distinguish myself kind of in the marketplace, so to speak? And so I'm a firm believer that if you give people stuff that they want to read consistently, if you can be an informative, entertaining, newsworthy read all the time, you know, I feel like you don't really have to worry about, you know, people getting their information elsewhere. They're always going to read you because you're going to have a different take, or just maybe people just enjoy reading you, you know, and that's okay too. And so, so that's kind of how I approach it.
So getting back a little bit to the changes in technology with now Twitter and social media being out there, in that now all of your work goes both in print and online, does the necessity to cater your product to both audiences affect the way that you write?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. There's a phrase called kind of feeding the beast, and I think to an extent you get a lot of the online responsibility. It's just, you know, it's kind of like crank it out, put it up there because, you know, you want to be, not necessarily, you don't want to be behind, but, you know, it's a competitive thing. I mean, a beat is competitive, and so you don't want to be lagging, and, you know, people keep score of that stuff, you know, internally or, you know, in their head or what. No, it's true. You know, people do. I mean, they you know, I mean, and that's fair. But yeah, I mean, it's hard because, you know, you don't want to be sitting there and give yourself twice as much work either, you know, and so I think there's a delicate kind of balance you have to maintain where, you know, you got to consider both masters, so to speak. And but I don't think there's anything new either. You know what I mean? And so I feel like, at least for me, and so I think that you just have to pick your spots a little bit. Like, I like to take more of a writer's touch, even with, you know, online stuff when I can, you know, but, you know, sometimes you can't. Sometimes time doesn't allow that, so.
Right. And of course, all of your material can be found on OregonLive.com, and all of the articles on OregonLive.com have open comment threads. There's always some very interesting opinions given each day from readers. Do you ever scan through the comments to kind of see what people's reactions are, or are you just simply too busy working on the next article to even worry about what people are saying?
Are you kidding me? I know everything. They send all those comments all get sent to our email.
Oh, okay.
So I see everything. So if people are watching this and they think I don't see it, I do, but I don't. I refuse to engage in that regard. I also respond to every email I get. Okay, so it's a weird thing. Like, you're not going to engage me in comment. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like Fentress loves doing that stuff, and I love that about Aaron. But he loves to argue. I don't. Like, I mean, I'll have a reasoned discussion with you. But Aaron just likes to kind of, you know, debate and do whatever, and you can never win with Aaron. Yeah, it's fine, whatever. But I will respond to emails if you know, coming at me that way, and we can do that all day. But I'm not going to do it in a comment field because I just feel like, you know, I don't really see what the purpose is. My work is out there. You can, do with it what you will. And if but if you're taking a chance to you want to discuss something with me, then hit me on email. So.
Okay. So let's get into some deep, detailed journalistic expert analysis.
Sure.
Between Rhett the Boston University Terrier and the Oregon Duck, who would win in a fight?
Oh, I hate Rhett. I despise Rhett. I am on record oh God, you can ask all my friends, all the kids I went to school with, I'm so anti-Rhett. I mean, I was just let's get rid of Rhett. I don't even understand. The Duck would kick Rhett's, oh God, yeah, I'm behind the Duck trying to kick Rhett's butt. No, I mean, I don't think there's anything aggressive about Rhett the Terrier, It's with Duck. It's kind of cool. It's fun. I get it, and I don't know. It's just different. But Rhett, yeah. So.
Well, and the fact you were probably in Houston at the time when the Houston Cougar had a little bit of a run-in with the Duck. So people already know you don't mess around with the Duck.
No, you can't. You can't mess around with the Duck, man. They're fierce. So. See, now I'm just trying to kiss up to the Duck saying that, but no. I hate Rhett. That's
okay.
official.
Well, there's been a lot of talk this year because Oregon football practices are now closed.
Yep.
They were closed over spring, and there's just, in general, very limited access to the football team. We have to kind of wait until September to see what happens. So everyone is just speculating about what may or may not occur. So how much more difficult does that make your job without a lot of tangible information available beyond what are the brief post-practice interviews and what you see in the spring game?
If I'm being completely honest, everyone's basically even on that stuff. So it's it's fine, to me. No, I mean, I'm a storyteller. And so, that type of stuff, doesn't, it's not going to faze me. I never complained about it. K-State, again, I keep talking about K-State, but it's only in-depth, experience I can draw on. And we never got time in the preseason. All through August, we literally had 2 opportunities to talk to players, 2 in a whole month. Okay. So in the whole month, so you just had to be kind of creative. And so again, it goes back to that. So yeah, I think it hurts you. I'm not someone who sits there and is going to tell you all about the, what new schemes Chip's put in and stuff. That's you guys. That's Fentress. That's not my strength. But I'm going to tell you about, what makes Brian Bennett tick. Or I'm going to tell you about, why Marcus Mariota is so laid back or whatever. But those are the things that I want to tell you in addition to the normal, beef stuff that you expect.
Fantastic. Well, would you consider that your writing style, or do you have a particular approach that is the Jeff Martin writing style?
It's trademarked.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't know. I think, you know what I think? I think I write stuff that I think that I would want to read too. At least I'll try to do that. I don't know if I could definitely say everything I've written in the Oregonian, fits into that, category. I don't know if that's the case. But I know that when I approach something, I look at it in terms of A, has the story been told? Is there a unique way of telling the story? There's some way that people are going to get some great entertainment value out of it. Are they going to walk away being oh, I didn't know that? Basically, I just want people to read and be okay, I got something there I didn't know, or, whether it's stat or if it's a fact, whatever, but just something. I want people to learn, read me and learn. That's what I want.
Terrific. Well, Jeff, we sincerely appreciate you taking the time out to speak with us, and the occasional links to FishDuck content. It's always very much appreciated. Now, for fans watching, if you live in Oregon, please subscribe to the Oregonian newspaper. They do a fantastic job of covering both local and national news. And from a sports perspective, they're as good as it gets covering the Ducks, the Beavers, the Blazers, the Timbers, and national sports too. So, Jeff, thank you for joining us for the FishDuck One-On-One video podcast. I don't know, is there a hand signal for the Boston University Terriers? I normally throw up an Oregon O's, so...
No, I don't have one. I'm just lame.
A B, U... I'll just put up an Oregon O and say go Ducks. How about that?
Fair enough. Go Terriers.